to our presentation on supporting motor development in infants. My name is Amy Dashno and I'm an occupational therapist with the Infancy and Early Childhood Program at Surrey Place. For today's agenda, we're going to focus on what is an occupational therapist. We're going to look at how they support infants. We're going to review gross motor milestones from the ages of 0 to 12 months. And then we're going to review the fine motor milestones again for 0 to 12 months of age. And then we're going to watch some videos and you'll have some time to practice at home certain techniques that we're showing. And we're going to focus on rolling, sitting, reaching, and pulling to stand. So what is an occupational therapist? An occupational therapist is somebody who helps people across the lifespan, meaning from birth to death, develop skills that they need, maintain the skills that they have, or restore skills that are needed to really engage in functional, meaningful activities. So these activities themselves are known as occupations, and they can be divided into 3 separate categories. The first being self-care. And under self-care, we look at feeding. So that could be utensil use, so being able to use a spoon or fork or drink from an open cup. But it can also look at the safety of your child when they are eating. So are they able to handle certain textures of food safely? We look at dressing, so are they able to take off and put on clothing? And we also look at toileting. So not so much the aspect of toilet training itself, but if your child has any motor difficulties or environmental difficulties that might be impacting their ability to toilet train independently, we'll look at those together. We look at productivity, and this can range across the ages. So when they're younger, children, their occupation is play. As they get a little older, it moves into school. And again, as we reach adulthood, it turns into work. And we also look at leisure. So really anything that anybody does for fun. So with children, again, that has to do a lot with play. And as in this picture here, it could be riding a bike, it could be swimming, it could be throwing a ball, just anything that brings joy. In terms of when working with infants, what we really want to do as occupational therapists is monitor a child's development. We really want to focus on the gross motor skills, making sure that your child's able to roll, sit, crawl if they do end up crawling, and walking. We also want to look at those fine motor skills and play skills, which can include reaching, in and out play, which means simply putting objects into and taking them out of containers, as well as pre-printing skills, things that they'll develop before they go into school. We look at developing self-help skills. So again, that's utensil use, so being able to use a spoon and fork, and toileting. We look at supporting your child's sensory needs, so how they respond to various input in their environment, whether that be touch, sound, deep pressure, movement. We like to connect with other professionals that are involved in your child's care. So that might be staff at daycare, and that might also be a teacher at school or another healthcare professional, so that we're all clear on what the goals are that we're working towards. And then there are times when we aren't able to support your child and we have to refer them to a more specialized clinic in the community. And those can include feeding clinics or orthotics clinics or physiotherapy services, for example. Okay, so let's review those motor milestones. And at first, we're going to focus on those gross motor milestones. And we're going to look again at 0 to 12 months of age and what you should expect to see over the course of that time. So gross motor development really focuses on those large muscles in the body and how they work together to promote movement. So initially, it's going to be rolling, and then moves into sitting, crawling, standing, and walking. Okay, now we're going to briefly review fine motor development for 0 to 12 months of age. So when we talk about fine motor skills or fine motor development, we're really focusing on the smaller muscles in the hand. And as your child develops and these muscles strengthen, their movements become more refined and purposeful. So initially, when your child's very young, you're going to see them moving their arms together and then they'll start to move their arms apart. They're going to reach for objects, whether that be in a mobile and swatting at an object, or they're going to have, again, that more purposeful movement as they start to develop in reaching for toys that are in front of them. They're going to bang toys together. They're going to release objects into large containers. And as you can see in this picture, when you're practicing finger feeding, and again, their skills become more refined and their movements more precise, they're going to be able to pick up smaller items using their thumb and index finger. So now it's time to practice and put some of these pieces together. And the first thing that we're going to focus on is rolling. So rolling occurs between 0 to 6 months of age. And initially, your child's going to roll from their front to their back, and you'll notice this if you practice tummy time and place them on their tummy, and then their back to their front. And rolling really helps to develop strength, balance, and control that they're going to need for crawling.
Today we're going to be talking about how to help your baby roll. When your baby is on their back and you'd like to help them roll to their stomach, what you want to do is take the arm that's going to be on the bottom and help them clear that out of the way. Then you take your baby's leg, bring it over at their hip, and wait for them to help you bring themselves over. And if their arm gets stuck, you want to help them right here and just take some weight off of the front of their bodies so that they can adjust their arms on their own. If they're really stuck, of course, feel free to help them here, but it's best for them to feel themselves how they need to adjust. Tummy time is very important, so the more time your baby can spend on their tummy learning to reach or looking around, the better off they'll be as well. When they're stuck, which happens sometimes, and they don't know how to get back over onto their back, you want to make sure again that that underside arm is up and out of the way. You're going to help them at their hips and just start the motion to bring them over. Your baby should then help to bring themselves all the way back. And that's rolling.
Okay, now I'd like you to pause the presentation and practice on your own at home. Okay, now we're going to move on to sitting, and this occurs between 0 to 6 months of age. And initially, when you're practicing sitting, your child's going to need more support before they're able to move into independent seating itself. So here are two examples of sitting with support. The first, the child is being held around their waist because they need that additional support to be able to stay seated and upright. So initially your hands will be held up higher on your child's waist, and as they get stronger, you can slowly lower your hands down their body so that they're working a little harder and developing those muscles that they need to sit independently. In the second picture, the child is being propped up by a breastfeeding pillow. So again, they need some of that support before they're able to sit independently on their own.
Next thing I want to do is teach Colton and y'all how to work on sitting. So Colton's not independently sitting yet, and a good way to do it, a lot of times people hold their babies up really close, which is fun and cuddly, but they don't work on their trunk and head control much that way. So a simple way is just to scoot them out a little bit, and if you have them straddle your knees and sit up and you hold around their trunk. We'll see how low I can hold Colton. If I start up underneath his armpit, he's safe. If I go down a little bit lower, woo, right around in there is where it starts getting wobbly. So I'm at low trunk. So with Colton, I can just let him practice sitting right like this. Nice job, Colton. You are doing super. This is a simple idea you can do with your child if your child's having trouble learning how to sit. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll have more videos in the future. Thanks a lot.
Okay, and now I'd like you to pause the presentation and practice on your own at home. Okay, now look at reaching. So again, let's watch the video together, pause the video, and practice yourself at home. So reaching is going to be working on those fine motor skills, and that tends to develop between 0 to 6 months of age. And again, it becomes more refined over time. So as your child has more practice, and as they get stronger, you'll see those skills improve. The one thing that you want to do, and you can see in this picture, is to encourage your child by using toys. So placing toys out to the front and sides of them will encourage them to reach. So make sure it's a toy that they enjoy, that they would want to reach out for.
As your child gains more confidence in the static sitting position, you can now challenge your baby's strength and balance by placing toys slightly out of their reach. When performing this activity, place all the toys to one side to promote the opposite arm to have to reach across the body to grab the desired toys. This crossing midline activity is just a building block for your child to be successful when completing high-level sequence tasks such as crawling.
And again, I'd like you to pause the presentation now and practice on your own at home. Okay, next we're going to work on pulling to stand. So again, watch the video and then pause to practice yourself. So this skill develops between 6 to 12 months of age. And it comes about as your child develops that strength in their legs and core, resulting in increased balance and stability, as you can see in this picture here. Again, in this picture, a toy is being used for motivation, and that's a great thing to remember when you're practicing and trying to teach your child these skills.
Hello, my name is Amy Sturkey. I'm a pediatric physical therapist. I'm here with Karis, who is 7.5 months old. We're going to work on sit to stands. She's ready for this, so I just sit her on the edge of my legs, get her up next to something that's about the right height, and it's magic! She stands up. If she was having a harder time with this, then I could support at her trunk and try to help with the weight shift. You kind of think about nose over toes and then shifting forward and standing up. If she needed a little bit more assistance, I could help push in through the hips a little bit more. But Karis has got this down pat. I do like when kids are standing to try to get their hips more underneath their heads, so pushing her, lifting her trunk up and her hips in a little bit more to get her feet in line underneath her hips and line underneath her shoulders. There you go. Want to do it one more time? There you go. So instead of having her feet in front of her knees, I get her feet right underneath her knees. Oh, wait, it helps to hold on. There you go. A lot of times when I see some of our kids who have increased tone, they want to extend to go backwards to get up, so it's good to have a toy in front of them to get them to lean forward to come up as opposed to shoot backwards to come up. Karis, you were excellent at this. Hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Hello, my name is Amy Sturkey. I'm a pediatric physical therapist. I'm here with my friend Colton, who's typically developing 9-month-old. Hello. And we're going to work on a pull to stand, half kneel to stand. He is not pulling up to stand himself yet, so I start off by having him go down on his knees. Yep. And I put up one knee for him. Woo! And I have him stand on up. Woo! Yeah, you did it. Hi. When I do this, I always make sure I spend equal time on pulling up one leg as the other leg. The left leg's closer to the camera, so that's the one I did. But when I do this with a client, I would do equal time on his left and his right leg. Hi. Oh, actually, it's time to say bye. We're all done with this one. Woo! I hope this was a simple idea you can do. If you'd like to see more ideas, feel free to look at more in the future. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, and once again, I'd like you to pause the presentation and be able to practice this on your own at home. And in terms of some takeaway messages, what I want you to do really is just remember to provide your child with lots of opportunities throughout the day to encourage movement and free movement. You want to ensure that you're always practicing in a safe environment and that your child is not left unattended. As you saw in a lot of the videos, toys are very motivating for children and they really help to encourage that movement. So try and incorporate that into your routine as much as possible. And when you're working with your child, help your child when it's needed, but always give them some time first to try and figure it out or problem solve on their own. And as always, if you're practicing these skills with your child and you're still having difficulty or you feel that they're not developing the way that they should be, then always reach out to your healthcare professional for extra support. I want to thank you for attending today's presentation, Supporting Motor Development in Infants, and we hope that you found it helpful. If you enjoyed this event and would like to view some of our other recorded events, please visit us at surreyplace.ca/wellness. As always, we welcome your feedback. Please take a moment to tell us what you thought of this recorded event by visiting the link on your screen. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you.